Grégory Castéra is from Paris, running council. And yes, welcome, Grégory. Your presentation is here now.
Hello, and thank you very much, Magdalena, for this invitation. I'm very happy to be here, and also thank you, Claire, for this introduction. It was really interesting. So yes, I'm running an institution called Council. It was initiated in 2013 with my colleague Sandra Terjman. We are co-director of this structure. As Situation, we work all around the world and in different various locations, and we have developed a method called the inquiries, and I will talk to you about this method today. Inquiries are long-term research, and it is based on commission. So it's commission. Basically, we develop inquiries because we met NGOs and activists, and we think that there is a possibility to develop a research together. What we try to achieve with this research is to create space for what we call knowledge diversity. So we try to create space where different perspectives can be composed, perspectives that don't used to be related together in regards to one issue. And when we talk about composing, is about, on the one hand, finding a way to create an hybridation, to mix between different knowledge that don't used to relate together, but at the same time to preserve the heterogeneity, the difference between the different fields. So it's a kind of theoretical way to talk about it, and in order to talk about you more precisely about it in the 10 minutes I have, I will talk about one project we did. So we start in Beirut. We are in 2014, and we are meeting an NGO called Legal Agenda. This NGO is working about one very specific thing called the Against Nature law. So it's an article in the penal code in Lebanon that is condemning sexual intercourse against the order of nature. So this law exists in 53 countries in the world, and it is, as you can imagine, what many LGBTQI plus people get sometimes fine, or in some other country can have death penalty for their sexual behavior. But it's also something that is for everyone, because, for example, in some country, if a man and a woman are walking in the street, taking the hand and not being married, they can be prosecuted, for example. So that's something that is concerning everyone. And why is it so complicated why is this law is so complicated? It's because the concept of nature is not defined in the law. So you can put anything you want in this law. So the action of this NGO is to go to meet judges and imam, and I will say religious leader. And in this case, we are in front. So that was the first situation we had in Beirut. We were in front of judges and an imam. And they had in their end something called model defense. So model defense is many arguments about nature. So they come to meet these people and they say, what is nature? How do you consider nature? What are your way to think what nature is? And of course, it's a way to engage a discussion about the definition of nature in law. And as I said before, there is no definition of nature in law. It has been abandoned in most of the Western countries since many decades. So, and when we arrived there, the project is called the Against Nature Journal. When we arrived there, the action had lots of effects because many. So we met also judges who already gave some verdict. And what was very interesting is when you see the different verdicts, on the one hand, they are, as you can imagine, you have the technical discourse when they give the different arguments why they condemn or not someone. But at the end of their verdict, they also try to say why it is impossible to condemn someone regarding the Against Nature law. And then it becomes very interesting because they try to find their word. And so we had several situations when you read a verdict and it becomes a poem because they don't have the legal vocabulary to explain the notion of against nature. So we were very interested because we had a situation with a very specific audience that are religious leaders, politicians, and judges in 53 countries in the world. So that's the audience of the project. We had an experimentation, this question of legal experimentation and the way to find a language and an address about a certain issue. And basically, our role was to build a space for this, and a space where and we thought that, of course, if this experimentation was about finding a language and finding an address, we can also bring other knowledge, other practice than law, for instance, science and also art. So this is the work that we developed. So it began in 2013. It's supposed to be achieved in 2020. So it's only this kind of scale when we are working. So it's a situation of work. You have Nizar Sarrié, who is one of the most important voice for gender equality in the Middle East. And the person who is leading Legal Agenda. And behind him is Carlos Mota, who is a videoist from New York and Colombia. I'm there, but it's not the most important thing. Then you have Maya Migdashi, who is an anthropologist of law, who is from NYU. And we are in a situation of work, and this is the kind of situation we have been developing for the 3 years. So every people were involved together to build up this space. The first event we organized was in Ashkal Alwan, and we brought I think it was 13. I think I have the list somewhere. Yeah, there. So we brought all of these people together. So people who are from humanities, from activism. So we created a network with NGOs from Bangalore, from Kenya, from Lebanon. Brought also and also brought in the space some artists. The purpose of this event was, of course, to experiment how it is possible to put in the same level in an event the voice of an activist, the voice of a scientist, and the work of an artist in order to talk about such an issue. And you can imagine that in the audience we had activists, people who are daily prosecuted for this kind of for their daily ways, for their sexual behavior. We had also people from the police in the audience, and we had also people from the art world. We were also thinking about questions such as questions such as the instrumentalization of art in such a context. So that was the situation. And so you see here we have Nizar Sarrié, who was talking about so very contemporary case of one case that was happening a few months before. Here you have Marwa Arsanios and Lawrence Abu Hamdan, who were talking about another contemporary case of people persecuted a few months before. In the same space, we had also Adrienne Lahoud, who were talking about nature's right, and Carlos Mota produced a video, and we commissioned a work to Carlos Mota and as one of the different arguments. So that was this first experimentation into. You see, it's 3 years to do this first experimentation. So to create this network, to begin to build up this space, and to think, okay, what could be the scale of the action? What could be the address? What could be, what can we do? And so of course it was, as I said before, it was 1 minute. Okay. So then we took 1 year to think together, and we realized that the good scale for such a project could be a journal. So what will be this journal? Because as you can imagine, it's just a simple journal. So it's a journal that will be distributed hand to hand to an audience of between 400 and 1,000 people in 53 countries in the world. So we have all our energy has been devoted to create this circuit of distribution with NGOs, diplomats, and people in countries such as Uganda or Pakistan, who are going to knock at the door and give the paper. And it's done in many countries confidentially. As you can imagine, you cannot talk about this kind of issue very publicly. And at the same time, we are developing this project publicly. So we are in, and the main space that can host this kind of space of encounter between different fields is the art world. And so we are doing it, like it's currently shown in Contour Biennale, then it will go to Medellin, to the Medellin Museum, then it goes to Oxford University, to Centre Pompidou, and to Dos de Mayo only this year. And this, basically, contemporary art is supporting we are taking the money of contemporary art to make this thing happen, and also to commission works. It's hard to talk during 10 minutes. I think I'm almost done. I just wanted to answer to the quote by Andrei Tarkovsky. I think we produce art for those who are concerned. This is what we try to do.